Hello, and welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining. This is Skeptic Generation. I'm Eric Murphy, and we need to talk. Hey, everybody. It is May 24th, 2026. Holy moly. It feels like this has both been a very, very short first half of the year and the longest first half of the year in my entire life. Ethan, how are you? Are you feeling the same?
Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, joining me today is Ethan Michael, your friendly neighborhood atheist. Ethan, I'm so glad you're here, brother.
I'm glad you had me on again.
Yeah,
Always,
dude.
always a pleasure. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, I was actually talking to the volunteers before the show about how just how, our history, how I've known you for years and years and talked to
Yeah,
you,
it's been a while.
yeah. It has. For people who don't know who Ethan is, Ethan, you had your friendly neighborhood atheist. It was a call-in show, right?
Yeah, well, it was called The Perspective,
The
but yes,
perspective, yeah, the perspective.
on the channel, Your Friendly Neighborhood Atheist.
That's right. And then you had the show with Jenna
The Mental Health Podcast, yes.
and Hannah.
The Pickup Line,
Yep.
which was dating and sex.
Were there any others?
And then I had Ask an Atheist, which was a weekly Ask an Atheist show. And then
Jeez,
I
man.
had roundtables too, a weekly roundtable.
No wonder you burned out. Jesus Christ, dude.
I was doing like 5 shows a week for a while. It was a blast, but eventually I'm like, oh my God, this is a lot of work.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that is how you get burnout. Holy crap.
Yeah, you warned me too. You did warn me. You're like, hey, I just got to tell you, you might want to slow down a little bit. You could burn yourself out. And I'm like, oh my God, no, I'm not going to burn out. This is amazing. And then eventually I was like, and I burned out. So now I'm being responsible with it, doing 1 to 2 shows a week max, and keeping it there. Despite the fact that I have like a gazillion ideas for shows right now, I'm being smart and keeping it balanced.
Good.
That's one of the downfalls of ADHD is once you get so focused and obsessed with something, is you just bam, you latch onto it, you keep going, and you can't do anything else.
Absolutely. I get that.
I still remember when I first called into the show to talk to you. Do you remember that?
No.
You don't remember? Remember the first thing I said to you?
What
Dude, Eric Murphy. You don't remember that?
Well, to be fair, you said that to me the first time you saw me many times. That became a pretty standard greeting. So
you also surprised me with how tall you are. I actually thought you were shorter than me, and I saw you. I'm looking up. I'm like, Eric's a big dude.
Well, I've only gotten wider since you've seen me last. So that's right. I do.
For those that don't know, Eric Murphy is just as nice in person as he is on screen.
Oh, I love you too. Speaking of Ethan, what I love about having you in this community is you have the biggest heart in the community. Like,
thank you.
The thing is, it's wild. You will experience something, feel vulnerable, and immediately go, hey, I want to share that, and when you accomplish something, you say, hey, how can I help people up this hill that I just spent this time climbing up? It is, from what I understand, what a great impetus to those shows, to talking about dating and relationships, to talking about mental health and well-being. It's based in a very personal place for you.
Mm-hmm. Wait, did I mute? Oh, I thought I muted my mic for a second.
No,
Sorry.
You're good.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's people with bigger hearts than me, but I consider myself a empathetic person, and I do my best to help people. To sometimes my detriment. I do respond to every single message I get ever. all the
Yeah.
time. It may not be immediate, but I always respond. I always try to help people out. Just it kind of drives my partner nuts because she'll be like, sometimes you go too far to help people, and it's like I just feel like I hope that one day if I'm in a bad situation, that there will be people there to help me as well.
Yeah. And you have built up this wonderful community. I'm just grateful for you, man.
Thanks. You too.
Yeah. No, I forgot what I was
Let's
gonna
not get
say.
too mushy.
Yeah. I guess I guess the reason I bring it up is because, over the years, I've done so much more than call-in shows. I've started numerous podcasts. I've helped countless others start their own podcasts and helped advised on YouTube channels. I worked in nonprofits. I worked in tech startups and businesses and you name it. And what kills me when you're working in like businesses, is a tech startup CEO will be like, "Hey, we need to put out a viral video. How do we do that?" And it's like, "Oh, the viral kind. Oh, well, let me just make you a viral fucking video." Like, you want it viral? Oh, you didn't specify. I'm sorry. I thought you wanted dog shit. Yeah. and the one piece of advice that I have is, if you don't care, why should you ever expect another person to? If you're not willing to put in the effort, right, then don't expect other people to put in the effort. That's it. It's as easy as that, right? Like I am privileged to have the viewers who come here because they are giving me this time of theirs that they could be doing anything else, and they're here with us. And, the number of times people have just thought that they could throw money at a thing when in actuality, the one thing that they needed, they didn't have. And that was a true care for what it is that they're doing. And
Right.
You truly care. You actually have the thing that you can't pay for. So.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, especially coming from you. That really means a lot.
Cheers, brother. Okay, so we've got a couple of things to talk about. Cheers. Yes, I've got my coffee drink thing.
Yeah, my ice. These things are so addictive. No caffeine, no sugar, but they're quite delicious.
Well, I'm running extra caffeine and sugar for the two of us then. So you want to talk about mental health. Usually that's the thing that you're really excited to talk about. Why is that?
Because to me, it's really important because it's something I struggle with, and I know there are, I growing up, I didn't really have a lot of people that I knew that struggled. And as I've gotten older, especially as I joined the atheist community and people have been more open about it, I realized that I'm not alone. So it's very important to me to make sure other people know that they're not alone either in their struggles and that there are other people and it's not just them in their own battle. So that's why on my Facebook, why I'm very outspoken about my mental health is I just want people to know that, other people struggle too. And it really is okay not to be okay. I mean, it sucks, don't get me wrong, but,
Yeah.
It's okay. What about you?
Well, I mean, I've talked about my clinical depression before. I'm happy to talk about it because I think there are misconceptions about it in the same way that I think that there are misconceptions about the different issues you have. And the more we talk about it, the more we can normalize it. And so, just normalization is, I think, important. And is it the most popular thing to talk about? No. But you know?
And I don't want to bring anyone down either. Like
Yeah.
I do, we want people, at least from my perspective, I always want someone leaving a podcast like learning something or feeling good. So I don't want to bring down the mood and be too down.
Well, so let me at least put this out there for the viewer. You guys, Ethan was asking about AI on Facebook this week,
Mhm.
and I want to talk to Ethan about AI. So
Uh-oh.
before we get to dessert, we need to have dinner, and that means we that means we should talk about some of these harder topics.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the things that I can talk about with experience are depression, anxiety, and ADHD.
Same.
Yeah.
And bipolar.
And bipolar. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Do you? Oh, and PTSD as well,
Yes.
or a therapist said CPTSD.
I
But
really don't like throwing all these things out there because I feel like I'm like playing like what sticks at the wall game. So yeah, I do have these diagnoses, but
yeah,
it's just at the same time I'm not looking for a well, it was me. Look at all the boxes I check. You know what I mean?
right, right. Identity politics, man.
Right.
Well, let's talk about them. Do you have a similar kind of depression to me, like a clinical depression, or is it more like major depressive disorder, or just a?
It's anxiety-induced depressive
Oh,
disorder.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So how does that how does that function?
So I'm only speaking from my experience. I'm not speaking as a medical professional. I'm not a psychiatrist. So please, people watching, don't quote me verbatim on this. But as I understand it, I get anxious very easily. My heart starts pounding, and then once I get anxious about something, and that anxiety continues, then my mood sinks lower and lower. Because I'm so anxious about it, I start getting really depressed about it.
Got it.
Right now, I'm dealing with some physical health issues that are definitely triggering my both anxiety and depression. I've been losing sleep at night. I'm in a constant state of just like where my heart's racing. I'm fidgety. So today, if I seem more fidgety than normal, no,
Yeah,
I'm not on crack. I'm just really, really anxious right now and a little down.
I got you. So does that create like a negative feedback loop? Like
Like where I'm talking down to myself.
no, like
Or
like the depression spikes the anxiety brings in the depression, and then the depression reinforces the
oh yes,
anxiety,
that's exactly what
which
it
then
is.
and so it creates that feedback, and it just gets worse and worse because it feeds itself.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Damn.
It's not fun.
No. So for me, I have clinical depression, and the way that was explained to me is that my brain is very selfish when it comes to the chemicals that it's willing to share between neurons, and so I just have a lack of those feel good chemicals.
I believe it's serotonin. Is that correct?
So I've been on SSRIs, and it has helped. But yeah, it's a whole thing, and ultimately what it means though is that for me, I just like it could be the best day, everything can be great, and I can still be extremely depressed, and it's not actually tied to anything in reality,
Mhm.
it doesn't have a source, and because of
You
that,
can
it's
just be like sitting there, and then all of a sudden you get depressed. Is that correct, or is that inaccurate?
so there's just kind of like a baseline depression. It's just always like when there are situations that could cause someone to be depressed, when those things happen to me, I can feel them as a different kind of depression. Like
Okay.
it is a different thing. So yeah, no, clinical depression, not much you can do about it, but is what it is. Yeah.
Are you, if you don't want to answer this, are
No,
you currently medicated or?
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. I had a parent who chose to not be medicated for their mental health needs,
Okay.
and my family suffered for it. And so I took that as me internalizing that it's selfish to the people around me if I'm not taking care of my shit, you know,
Okay.
and because of that experience. And so, yeah, I feel like I owe it to the people around me at least to, yeah, go to therapy,
I feel
take
you.
meds.
That's how I'm not medicated for the depression, but I am medicated for the anxiety and the bipolar. The bipolar meds I definitely need. Now, for clarification, I have bipolar 2, not bipolar 1, so I don't go through like super extremes. I go through not mild, but moderate. I believe that's the defining difference. Again, not a doctor, don't quote me, but that's at least my personal experience with it.
Okay.
So, but you know what can be frustrating
Hmm.
is when sometimes,
So,
mm,
so like you've got like diet bipolar. It's like same great taste, less calories, right? I'm sorry, I don't mean to. Is that right? Yeah, less fattening.
I, I am stealing that. From now on, I am not saying I have bipolar 2. I'm
You're
saying I
saying
have diet
diet
bipolar.
bipolar. Yeah, yeah. It's like the white
Oh,
claw of bipolar. Nice.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, there you go. I needed that laugh, Eric. So thank you.
Absolutely. I don't. I don't mean to minimize your
No,
diagnosis.
I'm glad you did that. I needed that.
Good, good. Okay, sorry. Continue though. So you're saying that
Let me see if I can
the
figure out
highs
what I
and
was saying.
lows are not as intense.
As extreme or as long lasting.
Okay.
But you know what bothers me, and I don't know if anyone in the audience can relate to this or has ever experienced this, but when someone minimizes, like for instance, I don't know if anyone's familiar with hypomania. It's when you go through this, super hyper like happiness. And there are moments where I've been very, very happy, and there's been someone that has said to me like, "Oh, you're just being bipolar." It's like, please, if anyone's ever said something like that to someone, don't do that. It's hurtful. It's
Yeah.
mean. It's like, I'm happy. Just let me be happy. Don't tell me I'm just being bipolar.
Yeah. No, agreed. I think like the only times that I've thought about saying something is like, "Hey, you're doing great. Fantastic. You're taking out 2 credit cards. We need to sit down and talk." Like that's not the time to sign up for a credit card maybe,
No,
when
no, exactly.
like but yeah, if somebody's
And I
just
am
vibing.
impulsive, but I'm not like to the extreme impulsive.
I
I'll get
gotcha.
some bad ideas here and there where I'll be like, this is a great idea. Let
You're
me
on this
run.
show. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm being very careful. I try very hard to tame myself on live streams because I know once you say it out loud, there is no taking it back.
No, no, in the
So I
room.
do at times, I'll purposefully pause longer or think longer because I know that sometimes word vomit, or as a friend to me calls it, rainbow vomit, just comes out of my mouth.
Yeah.
And I need to make sure that doesn't happen because I would be devastated if something I said harmed someone or upset something. Like
Yeah.
that would crush me. I
And
want to be as responsible with my speech as possible.
and generally when it comes to content creators, you have to run it through the filter of people are going to be the least charitable possible.
Yes.
It's just how it is. It's just how it is. I know that like if I ran for political office tomorrow, there are things that nobody ever got upset about that are going to get dragged out, you know, because it can be
I
taken
feel you.
poorly, right? Like there are thousands of hours of me on the internet, and I've said some stupid shit before. And all you got to do is clip it. Like, yeah, no, I appreciate that. It looks like we actually have a caller
Oh, great.
who wants to talk about bipolar and ADHD and how that relates to skepticism.
ADHD is autism and ADHD, right? Because
You
from my
got it.
understanding, they both do overlap in some ways.
They do. I have. It's funny. I've never been diagnosed, and I don't think I have autism. But the autistic people in my life seem to say differently. So I don't know. I don't
I
know.
I feel you on that.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
My psychiatrist thinks so and wants me to go get officially tested. I don't purposefully see a point, for me at least, because it's not going to change anything for me. Not saying it doesn't help other people, but
Yeah.
if I go through testing and they say you have autism, it's just okay.
Add it to the pile. Yeah.
Yeah, add it to the checklist, and I'm just going to keep going about my daily business.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Let's talk to Alice in Oregon. Alice, you're live on the show.
Hey, Alice, how you
Good
doing?
morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Hello, hello. Thank you for calling in.
Thanks for having me.
So, what's on your mind today?
Um, yeah, just the whole conversation about mental health is important. So thanks for doing that, focusing on that. And I listened to the show the last time you two were together and talking about ADHD and bipolar and whatnot, and just wanted to get on it. I was diagnosed bipolar in 1986.
Ooh.
And yeah, and there was no doubt, people were like, "Oh, that tracks," symptoms starting at 16 and then having a major mania at 19. And at the time, the only treatment was lithium, and lithium works for 7 out of 10 people. And I had doctors yell at me for trying to point out that I was one of the 3 in 10. And so it was really rough back then.
Yeah.
And then fast forward to in the last few years. Okay, I'm months away from 60 now, and just a couple of years ago, my daughter, who was diagnosed ADHD, we were talking about it, and she's like, "Yeah, you probably are," And we talked about my mom being undiagnosed bipolar. And then my daughter even threw out, grandma was probably autistic. And I started taking all the online quizzes and whatnot, and so I'm undiagnosed ADHD, and but
Okay.
so that's some background.
Yeah. And you also wanted to talk about autism?
Yeah, that's the most recent. So I've been self-diagnosed ADHD for several years now.
Okay.
And then in just the recent time, my echo chamber algorithm brought me the autistic questionnaires, and I'm like, they're like, well, if you have, 20 of these 30, and I've got 25 of the 30 questions, and started seeing those overlaps. And to your earlier point about the diagnosis of the combo is that there's a bunch of symptoms that overlap, and then there are separate systems that's just the autistic or just the ADHD, and so the person has conflicting things, liking ritual, liking spontaneity, struggling with those kinds of things. And then my daughter kind of helped me understand, or when she said that I was one of the lucky people in that my hyper focus led to a career.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun to like go, oh, okay, well that explains a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I'm glad you were able to make it work for you at least. But yeah,
Agreed.
I think that among the questions to test for autism, they should ask, do you watch atheist call-in shows?
Yeah, that's a
The
good. That's funny. Yeah, that's
Alice,
fair.
in I've been doing this for almost 10 years now. I
Has it been
have
that long?
mhm,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
20
Okay, sorry, continue.
2017. It's 2026, so 9 years, almost 10 years now.
I've been doing this for 6 years. Holy crap.
Yeah,
Time really flies.
it does. But
Time control.
but in the time that I've been doing this, I have met thousands of atheists, people who watch these call-in shows. And I've got to tell you, there is a significant proportion of people in this community who also have autism, which is fair, I think, because when it comes to philosophy, when it comes to, skepticism, things like that, it's obscure. like this is not as popular as a lot of other things people get interested in, and because of that I think that it can be a point that people hyper focus on, and people dial in, and that I think, yeah, I think we just kind of attract that. So you have found your people, Alice.
Oh yes, when yeah, in 2016 when I found the ACA and Talk Heathen and stuff, I definitely hopped on the let's watch all of these videos kind of thing, and yeah, all
Yeah,
tracks. Feels good to find, what you were talking about earlier about knowing that I'm not alone, and all of that is definitely part of the healing process over the years.
good.
Um, and that was one of the things I wanted to touch on is so in 1993, I
Mhm.
was really struggling, and I was entering um, mania. So for me, the bipolar, I suffer from the depression part of it very much. But in the early days, it was the mania that was the big deal. And for me, it was insomnia would lead to mania that would lead
Oh,
to psychosis. And so in the spring of 93, I was having insomnia. I was sleeping 2 hours a night, and I
Ooh, that's rough.
recognized it. And the first doctor said, "Oh, try the lithium again. Oh, liquid lithium will work," and it didn't,
ah,
right? So I'm, 2, 3 weeks in this 2 hour, and I'm scared. Didn't want to go back to the hospital, and I looked out at the window of where I was working, and there was an acupuncturist across the street. And I walked in and I said, "I'm bipolar. I can't sleep. Can you help?" And he said, "Come back at 5." And I did have my first session, and I went home, and I went to bed at like 8 o'clock and slept till morning and woke up refreshed. And I went to him twice a week for a while, then once a week, and then once a month. And I spent years going once a month we called it a tune-up. And then eventually that just kind of faded. I
yeah.
stopped going and whatnot.
Did
And
you
so,
did you find that the effects lasted?
um, well, I needed the monthly tune-up. I'll put it that way. That I would feel good, but I still struggled with anger and just. So I would no, it didn't cure it. I guess
Well,
it's like, but
I guess I don't mean cure, but did you feel when you walked away from your acupuncture sessions, right, and when you eventually stopped going, that there was a lasting benefit to having gone?
absolutely.
Yeah, what kind of benefit?
Um, That's a really good question. Just a general feeling more in control, more aware of recognizing the ebb and flow, um, and that sort of thing. So more acute relief,
Okay.
admittedly, because my life, still struggled with it, I guess, is the, um,
Yeah, it sounds like it definitely helped center your emotions and helped center kind of
Hmm.
your relationship to yourself and your body.
yeah,
Uh,
because he was also kind of a therapist, because we always had a talk session, like, okay, what's been going on? And then he, had uh, wisdom around that in addition to the acupuncture and
mhm.
occasional herbs and whatnot.
Okay.
And so, yeah.
So,
And so the reason oh, go ahead.
oh no, please go ahead and continue.
Um, so, um, so recently, well, a few years ago, I was struggling with the depression, and my daughter, she's like, "You're letting this ruin your life," and so a person like me who experienced literal emotional trauma in psychiatric hospitals and medication that was
Not
incredibly
working.
harsh, that when they started coming out with the different medications, I was afraid to try them.
Yeah.
And so, like, whatever benefits I got from the acupuncture in the 90s and the early 2000s was um, the same time that the medications come up, and yet I had the fear. So it took me a long time to get on medications, and I finally did, and I'm on it. And
So,
so, meanwhile, I started uh, realizing that I was no longer an atheist, or I was no longer a theist. It was
okay.
just such a gradual change
Yeah.
that it was one of those things where I just kind of one day realized that my nightly prayer was simply a meditation of gratitude versus asking the invisible deity to help me, because the deity hadn't helped me, right?
Yeah,
And
that requires a level of grace that I don't understand. I stopped praying because I felt like no one was listening, and that made me feel angry. And it sounds like you passed into this place of, giving it a new, value and one of affirmation. I really like that. So I definitely have thoughts about acupuncture, but I want to talk about that after because I want to center this conversation around, you having bipolar and all of these things. And because I'm totally not an expert, I want to leave it to Ethan. Ethan,
So
what thoughts do you have?
I'm definitely not an expert. From my understanding, lithium is a pretty intense medication, and is usually prescribed for more extreme cases of bipolar one. Um, they didn't prescribe you that for bipolar two because it's not as extreme. I'm on a different medication. I don't know. Should I say what medication I'm on, or should we avoid that, Eric?
Um, I you can say what medication you're on. I just think that we always need to preclude it with you did it in consultation together with your doctor that you went
Yes.
right. Yeah.
So I am on Lamictal, also known as lamotrigine. It is a mood stabilizer, and for me, it has been tremendously beneficial. And the best way I can explain it, or the best analogy I can come up with, is imagine you're bowling. You know how you can go ahead when you bowl, you go into the what are those things called on the left and right where it falls into
The gutter.
the gutter. Well, when I started taking lamotrigine, they put the bumpers up. So now when I throw the bowling ball, the bumpers prevent it from going too far to the left or too far to the right into those areas. So it's been tremendously beneficial for me.
oh my gosh, that's
Lithium,
what I
I would
take
be
too.
absolutely terrified to try. Oh, I'm sorry, Alice. Please continue.
Alice just said she takes that too.
And your
Oh, you think
analogy
that's
about bowling and the gutters is spot on.
that makes me happy to hear.
Glad. if y'all are okay, I would like to talk about acupuncture just a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I was gonna. I was curious, both to Alice and Eric, if, let's say, hypothetically, the acupuncture was just a placebo effect. Is there anything wrong with still doing it?
Oh my gosh, that was exactly my point. You know, was that as I started watching all the atheist shows and skepticism, and just I jumped into the whole skepticism and stoicism and all of that kind of stuff. And then the studies about acupuncture doesn't work, and I'm like, well,
It
it
worked
works
for
for
me,
me.
right?
And what is, if a placebo works, what's the problem?
So honestly, I okay. I
Except for
think
scammers. Let's.
yeah. So for people under 30, they're not going to understand what I'm going to say, but just stick with me. Y'all remember like daytime talk show hosts like Jerry Springer
Oh
and
yeah,
and Maury, right? And all that.
you are not the father.
Right. I remember in the 90s, there was this group of like mystics. There were these guys who said that through meditation, they could shut off their connection to pain. And to demonstrate it, they would have people kick them in the balls as hard as possible, just as hard as possible. And they would get they would get kicked and they would look and be like, yep, that's the thing. And show no pain. Sorry,
You got
bro.
me about to cry over here,
I'm
Eric. Oh my
sorry. I'm
gosh.
sorry. It's all right. Here, I can do this. I can do this to other people as well. For people who don't have balls, I've also seen documentaries around folks who did not get epidurals during childbirth and just went the natural birth, and through the sheer willpower of believing that they had something that was giving them help, they were able to do that. So yeah, I think the power of the mind is incredible. Is
I agree.
incredible. Do I think that those guys were connecting to their inner chakras to move? No, I don't. But I do think that like the mind is a powerful thing. So yeah, if you believe it, yeah, there's a lot that can go there. And also, I do also want to say that non what's I'm so quack medicine, right? Is
Pseudoscience.
pseudoscience excuse me, pseudoscience medicine is often, people often go to it because it's a lot more than just saying we've got a cure. The thing that they often offer is someone who makes themselves look like a doctor or an authority, who listens to you and validates what you're going through. Someone who says, if you say, hey, I'm experiencing pain, right? If you go to the ER, they're going to expect that you're just looking for drugs, and they're going to say, you're not really doing that. You're a liar. Get out, right? And if that's your experience and you go to a chiropractor or an acupuncturist and they listen to you and go, that sounds terrible. Let's try and work through it together. That is so important for people's well-being. And when the system fails people, they turn their issues don't go away. They just look elsewhere, and it's no
Right.
wonder. It does sound like you had somebody who had a very empathetic ear, who sat and listened to you, and was able to like provide a lot of relief for what you were going through, Alice.
Yeah, and for me, it was the three parts in that. Yes, he definitely could have those really good feedback, and like, um, the why are you angry, thought provoking questions and whatnot. And then
Yeah.
the herbs, they make medicine out of herbs, so that's some solid science there.
Hey,
And
aspirin was derived from willow bark.
exactly, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
And
that.
Yeah,
yeah,
Wow.
and Valium is the valerian root, and yeah.
that's right.
Uh, and so, and then for me, the acupuncture, you know, when you talk about, when they say, oh, well, they've stuck needles in places that weren't acupuncture pressure points or whatever. And it's like, well, I felt a lot of electrical, you know, when the needles went in, I felt electrical jolts, not just skin prick jolts. And so,
Were they
um,
painful?
whether or not that,
Were they
painful?
painful?
No,
Okay.
no, just like, um, the very, very, very first one was, it was a huge jolt. Like when you do the scuff your feet on the carpet, touch the doorknob.
Yeah.
But then after that, they were just like a little tap, and the music. And, when I think about placebos and, um, because at the time I was very much, oh, this is so real, 100%, no doubt, right? And now when I look at it through the skeptic lens, and I think, well, the brain, and wanted you to feel better, and the music and the whole, you've got this ambiance, but I still think it's
Well,
real, so not real is a weird word. I don't know
yeah,
if that's the right word.
it was real enough to be useful to you.
Exactly.
Yeah, it sucks having this conversation and making people feel like the benefits they experienced are invalid, because
Mhm.
obviously it did help you.
Yeah.
It's just, would you advise necessarily sending someone to an acupuncturist, or maybe finding them someone who's going to listen to them and like that? The benefit feels like it was the person and your own mind being able to go, hey, this is working, and that's amazing.
Yeah, that's so that's my struggle at this point in my life, is looking at the whole, oh, well, left brain saying, oh, well, there's evidence, some people did some tests and it doesn't, it's 100% placebo. I'm like, well, but yeah, but my experience lends to it being an effective thing to do. And so I certainly wouldn't say to somebody, acupuncture is the answer. I would never say that, but I would
Okay.
say that with the right one, that experience could be a beneficial experience.
Yeah, and they definitely, there are some very specific categories that, like, I don't mean to be dismissive, but if we were to say that the acupuncture itself was a placebo, then it feels like those benefits can be useful for pain management. They can be useful for depression. They can be useful for anxiety, which are things that I have. you know, they probably are not going to help you with diabetes. Like,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like, if you have cancer, don't go to a fucking acupuncturist. That's not,
Yes.
no. If you have bad vision, you can go to an eye doctor. Don't go to someone with needles. Like,
Yeah, and make discernment about whether or not the practitioner is a scam artist that wants you to pay $300 for
well,
this,
that
that, or the other, but
the interest.
$25 copay to feel good for an hour.
Look, I've paid $25 for a whole lot less. I have bought shitty burgers that were $25. Like, let's be real.
Right?
I've been to
Right.
Disneyland. If $25 made you happy for an hour, I'll go cool. Yeah. But
So I have
I
a question for Ethan,
yeah, go ahead.
if I
Sure.
may. Did you ever seek any kind of treatment other than Western medicine and diet? Have you looked at your diet at all?
Yeah, I've worked on my diet. I've done mental health therapy, exercise. Those have definitely they help my anxiety. Not all the time, not recently, unfortunately. But yeah, I would definitely, those are things that I would recommend for people with anxiety and depression. I know with severe depression, it is nearly impossible to get out of bed and even want to go for a walk. So I don't want to minimize someone by just saying, hey, just go out for a walk and just do it. But I will say, if you can push yourself to get out and go for a walk or eat a little bit healthier, that can possibly make a difference in your depression and anxiety and relieve your symptoms and make you feel better. It is not a one size fits all. It will not immediately cure it by any means, but I would highly recommend it because the science does support that it can be beneficial. Acupuncture, I cannot speak to. I've never tried it. I know there is a lot of pseudoscience around it, but I'm not going to discourage someone from doing it if it does help them. As Eric said, if it works for you, great. It works for you. However, talking about acupuncture, oh, sorry, go ahead, Eric.
In those categories,
yes.
If you think it works for you for diabetes, you're wrong.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I apologize. Thank you for correcting. Yes.
Okay. Please continue.
That was very close. So thank you. But talking about acupuncture and talking about pseudoscience actually makes me miss James Randi a lot. But we can talk about that after we finish talking to Alice.
Yeah,
So then,
go ahead.
Can I touch upon diet a little bit then, please? So for me, some real benefits in diet was like peanut butter. And Eric, this speaks to you too, that depression, that when we talk about depression being the congestion of the liver, and they advise bipolar people to not drink alcohol, and that's connected to the liver, and peanut butter also. And so peanut butter, when I used to eat a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, one of the best things ever, right? And when I stopped, I felt a difference, and I went, so I'm, gotta test it. So I went a long time without it, and then I had a sandwich, and then I felt horrible the next day. And so for me, peanuts are a depressive trigger.
Isn't that wild?
And then, so I just wanted to share that.
Yeah.
Again, people, your individual.
Well, just to connect with you there. So I have a very specific food that I eat when I need high brain power. Like if I'm going to be really doing a lot of creative philosophical thinking, you're not going to believe this. Spam and eggs on rice.
Woo!
I was with a Filipino person for years and got a taste for that. And for some reason, whenever I have spam and eggs on rice, it's like I just reach mental clarity, and I'm just able to interact on this like higher level. It's wild. It lasts like 3 or 4 hours, and then afterwards I go back to being a normal human, but like I ascend. And it's spam and eggs on rice. Like, that's so fucking weird. That's so weird. And is that going to work for everybody? Probably not. But like, we're all different. And so when you say peanut butter is a depressive trigger for you, that's am I going to say that's weird? Really? Like, okay, I get it.
Another thing, since you brought up alcohol and bipolar, I'd like to point out is THC, marijuana is it's not recommended for people with bipolar, especially the higher dosage of THC in it, the more likely it is to trigger manic episodes. So people with bipolar should be mindful. For instance, like vape pens that have 90% THC is going to be much worse for someone with bipolar than something with 10% THC in it.
Oh wow, yeah, good point. My other food thing that was significant, I was working with a nutritionalist, and somehow soy came up, and she said, "You need to stop soy." And I was like, "But I love tofu, you know." And
Yeah.
she's like, "Just seriously, come on, give it a shot." And so I did the same thing. I tested. I eliminated soy, and then I made my enchiladas that are pretty good with a bunch of tofu in it. And the next day, I didn't want to live.
Oh man.
It was intense. It was intense. And so that was
So
the end of my soy, which is really hard as
Really?
a vegetarian. But
Oh my gosh. You're
yeah.
oh
So again,
yeah,
yeah, and I've looked, and there's no studies. Everybody says, "Oh, the studies don't address that.
no.
That I'm wrong." And I'm like, well, for me, I tested it a couple of times because
Yeah.
like one time could have been a fluke, and I've tested it. And so again, for people, maybe take a week off if you eat soy, and then reintroduce it and
Well,
see what
I
happens.
I don't know. Or it could just be you. Just like spam and eggs and on rice is for me. Other people have
Well, yeah,
acai and that works for them. I have spam and eggs on rice. Like it just
yeah. And if I ate meat, I would try that because that sounds delightfully good. But
yeah, well you got it's like a protein bomb with the spam and eggs, and you got a massive amount of
yeah,
carbohydrates and salt, and it's just yeah, anyway. But I'm not people can tell me whatever they want how I feel.
yeah.
You know, Alice, you know how you feel.
yeah.
So if that works for you, fantastic. But that feels so. You guys, that makes me think about what is true, right? Like, I know. It's getting real navel gazy, but follow me for just a little bit,
You know, I'm laughing because yeah, that's what I'm. Yeah.
right? So if we say, that is true in the context of Alice, or that is true in the context of Eric, or that is true in the context of Ethan, is that the same kind of true as this is a book that I'm holding? Anarcho syndicalism, by the way.
Well, yeah, the difference between fact and opinion, you
But
know,
is
it's
it
a
an
fact it works
opinion?
for me, but it's opinion to say that it would work for others.
But the fact that it works for you, is it the same fact that gravity works? Right? Like, how do we
Mm.
differentiate these kinds of truths? Right? Because is a personal truth, can a personal truth be real truth? I think it can, right? If a thing works for Alice, it works for Alice. But
Right.
that doesn't mean that all personal truths are real. You can believe in, whatever weird supernatural beliefs. That doesn't mean that ghosts are real for Alice, you know. But how do y'all deal with that? Because I feel like in the skeptic spaces in these communities, we have a lot of black or white thinking, black and white thinking. It's either true or it's false. And if it's true, it's objectively true. And if it's false, or if it's not objectively true, then it has to be false. Like how do you guys navigate those?
I don't. Yeah. See the. Hmm. I that's a hard one because I generally don't like when someone says, "Well, it's true for me," because to me something can be is either true or not true. But then to Alice's point, if it works for her, then great. I guess by definition, it is true for her.
So, Alice, what do you think?
Yeah, I love the conversations of capital T truth and little t truth,
Yep.
and I look at life that I see life as a spectrum, that so many things that we talk about are can be set up in the dichotomy, the black and white, that something is or it isn't.
Right.
Mm.
And when I see it's a spectrum, and I think truth, capital T, little truth, is a spectrum, and And I think things can be on that spectrum, and especially when you start talking about a person's physical and mental, you know, the experiences of the self being, because I can share this and somebody else can say, oh, soy, me too. Well, does that make that more truth? Their personal truth plus my personal truth, is that more truth? I don't, that's
So can I offer you guys the way that I work through it? Because
Please do.
I've created my own little system. I did it over the course of 4 days in deep discussion with my partner V. And this is what we came up with.
Yeah, please do.
Okay.
I'm curious.
So
yeah.
I think there are different orders of truth, different layers. And I think that we should treat things based on what layer they're in. So I think that the top layer is, Alice, like you were saying, capital T truth, right? That's the top shelf. We can't reach the top shelf. We can't even see what's on the top shelf. We don't have access to capital T truth, but we know it's up there. You know? So, oh, Alice, are you still there?
I think so. Can you hear me?
Yes. Okay.
What do you mean we don't have access to capital T truth?
Right. So capital T truth requires that you are receiving information about it without anything getting in the way. Your eyes can have problems, right? Your sense perception all needs to go through fallible things. So you can get close to truth, but that doesn't mean that you actually have access to absolute truth. The best we can aspire to is like a lowercase t truth, you know?
So
Yeah.
I might be misunderstanding you, so please correct me if I'm wrong. To me, capital T truth would be right now, Eric and I are doing a podcast.
So that is true, but I just think it's a different kind of true.
Okay.
Right?
Can you elaborate on that?
Sure. So the capital T truth, I think when we come across them, like the laws of logic are in capital T truth, right? The next layer under that is tautological truth. A
I've never
tautology,
heard that.
a tautology is a thing that's true because it's defined that way, right? It's kind of cheating, you know? So if I say all circles are round, guess what? Roundness just means like a circle. So by definition, all circles are round. It's a tautology. There are no married bachelors. Well, that's true because bachelor means not married, you know? So that's a tautology, right? So you have capital T truth on top. Next below that is tautological truth, which is, it is very, very useful in logic for that level of truth. That is where mathematics lives. I think that's where deductive logic lives, right? Because the thing is defined that way. It's kind of pure in that way. You can operate on that level. Is it, do we have tautological truth statements very often? No, not really. Not unless you're a mathematician or something. So the next layer under that is inductive truth. Or I'm sorry, not inductive, contingent truth, right? So I think that your third layer is the one that we live in, right? It's the world where, the black swan fallacy exists, right? You can't say there exists no black swans because you haven't seen every swan in the world. So there could be one somewhere. You just don't know, right? The reason why, if there's a car accident and you're doing an investigation on what happened, right? And you ask different witnesses, all those different witnesses can tell you different stories, right? Tautological truth is inductive. And then below that is the swamp. And in the swamp, it's personal truth. If somebody says, I'm in pain, I can trust you or not trust you. They can also say, I am Elvis, and you can either trust them or not trust them, right? Like, I think that when it comes to the swamp of, personal truth, we just need to be careful. I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm just saying that I'm not going to let the personal truth piece rise to the level of a different kind of truth, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm following. It's a little difficult to follow, but I am following.
Okay.
But bachelors, they can technically be in a relationship and still be bachelors, from my understanding at least. Think about people in open relationships or poly people.
So does bachelor mean that you're like DTF, or what does bachelor mean to you?
So, from my understanding, the definition of bachelor is an unmarried person.
Okay. But if they're
Or an
married,
unmarried, yeah, I don't want to say unmarried man, unmarried person.
okay. So how can you have a married bachelor then?
Oh, no, you can't have a married bachelor, but you could be in a relationship and still be a bachelor, is what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
The thing is married bachelors is the, yeah. But Alice,
So
go ahead.
yeah, I love these 4 layers, and I'm not surprised this came out of one of you and V doing a long afternoon session because I love V.
Me too.
Yeah, she lays down a lot of truth. They lay down a lot of truth.
They do. They do.
And,
Yeah, go ahead.
And as I listen to these layers of truth, it just seemed like you were describing the spectrum of truth.
Yeah, I think you can call it a spectrum, right? Just to have a way to differentiate. The reason I bring them up as layers, because I actually think that you can graduate from one layer to the next, or be downgraded from one to the one below it. Like there are actual ways to move in between and decide in what layer does it go in. And I think that that's pretty cool. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I see what you mean. For that clarification of it, that moving through. And what came up too was like fact and opinion are actually separate. That something either is a fact or an opinion, and where it is on that scale. And so is a fact a truth?
Well,
not always.
Interesting. What is the difference for you there? What's the difference between fact and truth?
I had the same question.
Well, if it's a fact that my table is flat until I put a level on it and see that it's off balance. And so the statement of, right, a fact is something that you prove or can't prove, because an opinion is something that you cannot prove or disprove.
That's interesting. So the way you think about facts is you think that facts are human concepts, and truths are things that are interesting. You know what, Alice, when I think about it, when I use fact and truth, I use them interchangeably. That might be a really good way to differentiate, to have more nuanced conversations. I'm going to take that and think about that a lot, actually. I'll see if that is useful.
When I was a freshman in high school, we had a required class. You had to pass the class to graduate high school. Mm-hmm. And so it was philosophy. It's how we learned how to do, the arguments, fallacies, and all that kind of stuff. It was a fascinating class. And one of the little pieces of it was we were taught the difference between fact and opinion. And so we would have these conversations about, the best flavor of ice cream versus my favorite flavor of ice cream, and those kinds of things. And we studied this for a while, and then we took little quizzes, and then we had a 20-question test that we had to pass in order to graduate high school.
Wow.
And the teacher, you could take the test as many times as you needed to pass it, but you had to pass it to graduate high school. And so,
can we bring that back?
The whole fact opinion, huh?
Can we bring that back? You have to prove that you can differentiate between fact and opinion in order to move on in life. Holy crap!
Yeah, and it stuck with me, and it really, and it's helped me with it's been a very useful tool to have.
Well, what I will say, Alice, is it is an objective truth and fact that cookie dough is the best flavor of ice cream.
So I am thinking about this, and I think that when I deal in facts, I'm thinking about things that are not connected to me. I'm thinking about like top shelf capital T type stuff, that I don't have access to facts as they are naturally. I always have to run them through this filter of me. But truth, I don't know, has yeah, I think I'm just going to need to think about this. Okay.
Yeah.
Alice, you have given us a lot. I really appreciate it. I am going to challenge Ethan on AI though. So thank you for hanging out with us.
It was nice
Thank
meeting
you
you.
so much. Yeah, it was nice to meet you live in the call-in portion. So,
Yay.
thank you both, and have a delightful rest of your day.
You too.
Have a good day, Alice, and a
Bye,
good
Alice.
week.
You too. Bye bye.
So, before we talk
Is
about
Alice
AI,
a sweetheart or what?
she's so sweet. Very kind.
Amazing. I love this community.
It's a great community.
What's up?
Very supportive. Like, let's thank all the call screener right now. We have so many people that help us out in this community, moderators, call screeners, volunteers that just dedicate their time to help building our channels. And
Yeah.
it's really quite incredible how many people help us. But what I did want to say before we jumped into AI is
Yeah.
the pseudoscience talk made me think of James Randi. I would assume you know who James Randi is.
I got to meet him before he passed.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, he is to me like the king of debunking pseudoscience. And I always wish I could have met him. And I loved, for those that didn't know, a lot of times when he would start his talks, he would start by, I'm not sure how familiar you are with homeopathy, but he would take a whole bottle of sleeping pills that was, from
Homeopathic sleeping pills.
homeopathic, just to show that they virtually do nothing. But please, oftentimes people confuse holistic with homeopathy. Those are two very different things.
Yeah. Homeopathy has such weird history that people don't realize. That it is based in a fundamental misunderstanding of how the universe works. I'm trying to find my picture with James Randi and I can't find it right now and I'm bummed, but I shouldn't be doing that on the air anyway. I found it.
So AI.
Found it. Yes. Okay. Maybe I'll get the chance to talk about that later. Okay. AI. So you posted on Facebook asking people if they use AI. And
Yes.
If they see any benefit in it, right? Or what was your question recently?
It was along the lines of, have you used AI?
Mm-hmm.
Do you see any benefit to it? Do the harms outweigh the benefits?
Yeah.
Is it something we should stop using? Something along that lines.
Right.
And the majority of people said, people should stop using it now, especially for mundane tasks.
Okay. What's your take on it? What do you think of AI?
I could be more educated on it. I do believe, especially in the medical community, it has its usages. For instance, one of the doctors I saw for something, he used it to record our meeting and summarize everything. So it helped him remember everything, all the talking points, everything I said, and summarize it. It's also being used in surgeries, which unfortunately I've heard there's been some negatives. I've heard this directly from a nurse that worked with it in a surgery where an AI made a mistake. So now it uses a lot of water, and I mean a lot, for even the most basic of questions. So we should be mindful of how we use it. At the same time, and this may be an ignorant take, and please correct me if anyone in the audience, if I'm wrong, we're also, we're constantly using Facebook. We're constantly using electricity, leaving our lights on. We're also wasting resources on things that maybe we shouldn't be wasting resources But I do believe it definitely has its benefits and usages.
Okay. So, yeah, I have a couple of things. I feel like we have two categories, right? And people conflate the two, and I think we need to stop doing it. So I'm saying right now I'm against AI, and also people who are also against AI like me. There are some things you need to stop fucking doing, you guys. Like, please, Ethan, do you remember whataboutism as like as a thing?
Yeah, it's a fallacy, isn't it?
Yeah. So what
I
about
just used it, didn't I?
no?
I
Well,
didn't?
you did repeat a thing that I think a lot of AI folks in conversations do. That is whataboutism, and but it doesn't need to be.
Okay.
So my go-to example for whataboutism is during the like Obergefell decision when Prop 8 was a thing and we were talking about whether or not gay marriage should be legalized. A lot of people were saying, we're in war with the Middle East. Can't this just wait? Like, we have too many things going on with the economy and the war. Like, why are you asking me to make marriage legal for gay people? Like, that has nothing to do with it. Those things are not connected, right?
No.
You can talk about your burnout and your worries about the war or whatever, but like those things are not related to each other. Ethical use of AI, as far as like understanding what its limitations are, we should be talking about that in the context of what is it, what can it do, what's it useful for? That is great. The global like impact on our environment is a different conversation, right? And so when we talk about the water usage and all of that, we should, but also we need to frame that as something else. That is another issue. People put those things together, and I don't think they should be together. And I'll tell you, and I'll tell you why. Because
I was just going to ask that.
yeah, let's say you could snap your fingers, and we live in a magical world where AI is completely neutral to the environment. There's no negative side when it comes to water usage. It makes the air clean, or or whatever, just as clean as before. Like, there's no. If we were to say that, we lived in a universe where AI could be made completely neutrally, would you still let it operate on you or your kid?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Why? Because it's no longer a problem for the water. You fixed the water issue. So why are you still not letting it operate on you? Because your issue is with it, not just the environmental impact.
That's an excellent point. Very excellent point.
Right.
What I would like to say, though, is there is a conversation around AI that no one is talking about and people need to start talking about.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the difference between AI and AGI?
Oh, I watched several YouTube videos on a binge until 2 a.m. learning about AGI. And
Okay.
I could not tell you anything about it right now. So please talk to me. It'll come to me, but like.
It's super simple. So AGI is artificial general intelligence. So it is AI, but essentially the human brain. It cannot be, it can be created or will eventually be created, most likely. The thing is it's not restricted by rules. So say you program it to say, okay, you cannot do X. It can just decide, hey, I don't care that you told me not to do X. I'm going to do X. So say AGI is created today and released into the world. Once it hits the internet, there's no stopping it. It's out there. It's a living, thinking mechanism. Well, depends how you define living. Thinking mechanism that is completely unstoppable. If it decides it wants to benefit society, it could be our greatest tool ever created. If it decides it wants to be, Terminator, it can do that too. And that's what we really need to be very fearful and aware of, is when we progress into that.
Understood. So how close do you think we are to AGI?
That's so hard to say, because I'm not sure if you're familiar with. Oh no, I'm blanking on the name. No, 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 no. It's the AI that was created that was so powerful it escaped its own sandbox. It was made for to get through security, and it essentially worked so well that
It got through security.
it got out. So or tried to get out. So the company has since said they're no longer releasing it to the public because of its power. How close we are to AGI, I honestly don't know. I'm sure there are people currently working on it and trying to accomplish that, but I can't say. It could be a month, it could be 10 years, it could be 50 years. I don't have a time limit on that. It's too hard to say.
So I think there are different types of, like, it's hard to talk about AI because every company has relabeled all of their things to be some kind of AI, right? It wasn't all AI before. It was just regular
Right.
effing programs, right? Like when you talk about, like if you wanted a program to do speech to text, right? To do a full transcript of what you were saying, that
Right.
has existed since the 90s. Like, that wasn't AI. That's a program that was intentionally made to do that thing. Nowadays,
Exactly.
nowadays they say, "Oh, it's AI that's doing it." Fuck you. No, it's not. You're just trying to make a program sound like AI because it's a buzzword, right?
Yeah.
So, setting aside the huge amount of programs that are doing things that are actually just programs, they're not AI. When you want to talk about like iterative AI, that I so there's a YouTuber. I'm actually going to share my screen, and if the video gets demonetized for this, you know what? So be it. I think I'm okay with this. Let me just add you and I to it, and I'll see where this goes. Give me 2 seconds. This is what I get for doing this on the air. I wanted to do this before the show, but I just ran out of time entirely. So
You read super chats on the air, right?
yes, could you read a super chat while I do this?
Ooh, let me see if I can find one. If you
Yeah.
haven't sent a super chat and you want your comment read on screen, please send a super chat. Support the channel. It does help more than you realize. It makes a
Yeah.
difference.
I- and and
Because
and, and I do read the super chats at the end of every episode as well.
there was one at the beginning. I cannot find it now.
Okay.
Darn.
Okay, that's all right.
Won't go back far enough.
That's okay. Okay, so I think I've got this dialed in enough, right? So let me just get myself in here. Here's the shot. Can you see that? Does that look
I can
okay?
see it.
Okay. So I'm gonna move myself really quick. There's a YouTube channel. His name's Yosh.
Now you're over the video.
Yeah, just because I wanted to show his thing in the bottom left, right?
Oh, okay.
If you want to check out Yosh or Yosh, you need to because the guy's incredible. I was watching this and it really impacted my view of how AI works, right? Have you heard of the game Trackmania, Ethan?
I have not.
Okay, so you race these little cars really, 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 really fast and on these tracks. It's a cool little game. What he has done is he's created a program to, how do I describe it? He's using iterative AI to learn how to drive on a pipe. Right? Driving on pipes is ridiculously hard in this game. And so here in this video, you're going to see that these are different versions of the same experiment over and over and over again. And as time passes, you see that it has learned how to drive on this pipe. And all these cars flying off were failed attempts, right? But you can see the final version of this, right? Later on, I'm just scrolling ahead. You see this car driving on this pipe. Or trying to, right? So after enough incarnations of this, has the car learned how to drive on pipes? No. No, it
Really?
hasn't. No. And the reason is, here, I'll keep moving. That yes, like it can do this whole track enough times, right? He's incentivized the program. It basically wants to get, the highest point score, and it does that the closer it gets to its goal. And so by incentivizing growth in the direction that it wants to, he can then, through thousands and thousands and thousands of experiments, get it to, iteratively get better and better, right?
Okay.
Until this program is doing this. If I took a right turn and turned it into a left turn, it's not gonna do it. It's not gonna do it because it doesn't know what a right turn or a left turn is. It doesn't know that it's on a pipe. It's not looking ahead into determining, oh, hey, here's what I need to do in the future. Here's how I'm going to do it based on my perception. It's not perceiving things.
So this person is actually using AI a lot.
He is. And also we need to understand that while this looks super, super, super cool, right? And you see all these versions, all these generations, go through this, right? Skip forward here. You guys, AI learns to drive on pipes is the name of this video, and it's incredible, right? These are all different versions, of him running this experiment. It looks like the car is learning how to drive on pipes.
It does.
But it's not. What it's doing is trying to figure out what the fuck you want it to do. And so it is randomly hitting inputs until it hits an input that gets it a few more points, and then continues. And you have that going over and over and over again. It's not getting better over time. It's just hitting things in the timing that it's supposed to in order to get more points. It doesn't know what a left turn is. It doesn't know what a pipe is. It doesn't know what up or down is in this circumstance. It is just figuring out that it needs to press these things at specific times, inputs.
Okay.
Right. There's this whole idea, like the Chinese room experiment.
Ooh, what's that?
Right. So it's this idea that there are a couple of like thought experiments in this genre. But the idea is, like, let's say you spend your entire life from birth all the way through adulthood in one room. Mm. And in that one room, everything is black and white or gray. But you have learned through reading about what red is. You can talk about red. You can tell me all the different things that are red. You can talk about the redness of apples, the redness of the car in the video that I just showed, right? You can talk about shades of pink and this and that. But you've never actually seen red with your eyes. Can you say you know what red is?
I guess technically no.
No. Even though you know exactly what light wavelengths it goes to, it corresponds with, right? You can know about the thing, but until you experience the thing, your understanding is not there. You've just learned about it, I guess, right? Mm. You can learn about the world, or you can get all these facts about the world, but without being in the world, experiencing the world, it's not learning depth. It's not learning height. It's not learning what a pipe is or what left or right is, right? What it's doing is it's developing inputs and smacking on those inputs until it comes across what's going to give it the most cookies. Okay. Right? When people see these videos, they think that this AI has gotten smart enough to know how to drive left and right on pipes. And that's not true.
It's essentially throwing stuff at a wall and seeing what sticks. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And then eventually it may go, okay, a hard, what would correspond to a hard left turn never gets me cookies. So I'm just going to limit it to what will. but it does, like, that's just, you can have AI that writes itself, right? Maybe that will come up with shortcuts and go, hey, this is more often the answer, right? So I'm going to go towards this first, but it's still guessing in the dark. Hasn't left the room. It doesn't know what red is.
Okay.
It doesn't know what up or down is, right? Like, so when I think about AI, I think that we tend to look at these things like they're smart, like they're perceiving things. There's no perception happening. It's a Chinese room. The
Okay.
AI has no eyes to see. It has no mouth to speak, or a nose to smell, or a body with which to experience. And without experience, can you have knowledge?
Wow. That is that. Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah. I just, and that's this type of AI. There's other types of AI, right? We're leaving out the large language models. That's an entirely different thing. Large language models are basically, they started out as like a sparkling autocorrect or autocomplete. Do you remember autocomplete?
Yes. Aren't they essentially like large language models? Don't they essentially like they're answering your question, but they're essentially just putting each word in a sentence that seems to make the most sense, but they're
It,
not actually speaking in the way we speak.
correct. It's predicting what the next words or sentences are going to be based on past examples.
Right.
So it's predicting that after this word, the next word will happen. And it can get really good at predicting what the words are. But is it comprehending what the words mean? No. We can teach it syntax. We can come up with the huge list of how adjectives, nouns, verbs, how they all work together. But that doesn't mean that it knows what those words mean. It just knows that it needs to go in that order. It's a Chinese room. Again, it's not conversing with you. It's predicting what's going to come next. It's pattern recognition, sure, right? But you can get pattern recognition by searching at an Excel spreadsheet. That doesn't make it smart. That makes it
Yeah.
So I don't see a time how it can ever move into that next category of experiential understanding, or what I would think of as an actual intelligence. Because of that,
I guess
I
from
don't think
an
it's
AI
possible.
perspective, I would agree with you, but for an AGI perspective, I think that would be different.
So I think in order for me to accept it as actually alive, I think it would need to show comprehension. And it's gotten really
Okay.
good at pretending that it does, right? Because it's just predicting what words are going to come next to validate that. But it doesn't know what those words mean.
Yeah,
Not
that's
not
true.
not the way you and I do.
Speaking of which, have you seen the mix of AI with robotics at all? Because I just saw the funniest video of
The
a robot,
breakdancing.
the no, doing the moonwalk,
Yep.
uh, and then it falls up the stairs.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Yeah, I think AI can be really, really useful, but I think that the idea that it is intelligent, that it knows you, that it is in love with you, or that it is going to give you good advice. It's like, it depends on what you fed into it,
Yeah.
right? Like if I train an AI on really unethical books, then it's going to give bad advice because that's what you've trained it to do, right? If you train an AI, it's going to take on those characteristics, which means that we probably are going to have like prejudiced AI. We live in a world that is still has prejudices.
Yeah. So, is it an accurate statement to summarize what you're saying? Is it can learn, but it can't comprehend?
I don't think it can learn, and I definitely don't think it can comprehend. So the second part you got exactly right. I think that it can predict.
Okay.
The way it takes like large language models, what it does is it tokenizes these things, and through some really, really advanced math, it calculates what should go next. But that's not how we talk. You have an idea and then you pick the words to get the thought across.
Correct.
It is not doing that at all. So I don't know. Anyway, so when you're talking about like what are the uses to it? Yeah, no, we can talk about water. We can talk about all of that. But even if you had a perfect world where it never had an environmental impact, how much should we tailor our expectations? You know?
So, would you use it at all if it had no environmental impact?
Yeah, for a number of things. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I read a study. It's probably not true. Like it was a long time ago, but it was a study that had said that most people don't have substantial conversations. Like if you're talking to somebody at the water cooler at work and you're talking about the weather, you did not actually exchange useful new information. You're just going through the motions, right?
Very surface level BS.
Surface level BS. You didn't need to turn on your mind. You did not grow as a person. You did not get something that is going to change your worldview or reinforce your worldview. It's just normal bullshit.
See, I actively. Oh, I'm sorry. Please continue.
No, I was going to say most of our conversations are normal bullshit, right? Most of my emails, actually every email I've ever written, almost has been fucking normal bullshit, right? And if you work in an artistic field and it's just like, hey, make 5 logo designs for some bullshit company you don't care about, you're gonna do it. It doesn't mean you grew as a person. It means you created 5 designs for this bullshit company you don't care about. Right? I think that there's a huge qualitative difference between what people who care about a thing do when they create it and the normal bullshit we go through the motions for. And so I could see myself using AI to not have to deal with the bullshit stuff. But
see,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No,
again.
what's up?
No, I personally go out of my way to avoid surface level conversations. Like when I'm at a party or an event or even work, I always try to dig a little bit deeper because surface level is so boring to me. And I know I've annoyed some of my friends. They're like, you always get people, we'll be at a bar and you get people talking politics and they're always friendly about it. I'm like, because I'm friendly about it. I'm like, I want to dig deep. I don't care about the weather. I don't care which quarterback nailed a 3-yard pass or 400-yard pass. None of that matters to me. Tell me what you believe and why you believe it. That's what I want to talk about. That is fun for me.
But if you're having a conversation and you've done the work to do all of the like 101 intro level stuff, and you're having a 101 level conversation for the 23rd time this week, are you still growing or are you kind of going through the motions?
That's a fair point.
At that point,
I think I would say yes, because I don't stick with just one.
No, but like at that point, you're just learning about the person. You're not actually engaging with the topic because you've already done that enough.
You learn about the person, but then you engage with them as well. Like the best advice I was ever given is because I would get nervous when I would go to certain adult parties with conversations, and I'd be shy and quiet. And then the advice I was given was, you know what? You're great at interviewing people on your channel. People like to talk about themselves. Anytime you're in a new environment, just pretend they're on your channel and you're interviewing them. And that was the best advice I ever received. And since then, I could talk to anyone about nearly anything because I interview them.
That feels like perfect, like autistic masking advice as well.
It worked for me very, very much. And I've actually been using it. It's been so far, been a useful tool in getting me second and third interviews with jobs I'm looking for. Is
Nice.
I start turning it around on them and get them talking more and more and more. And before I know it, they're like, "Oh, this has been a great conversation. I really like you." And it's getting me more calls back.
Yeah.
So let's see if it leads. I'm in the beginning stages. There is one potential job I'm like, praying for, but I hope I get it. I hope
Yeah.
my strategy is working. Keep your fingers crossed for me because I
And
do
all
need a job.
and also if you're a viewer and you live in the Chicagoland area or know anyone who's hiring, uh, shoot Ethan a message.
Yeah, hit me up. I'm very easily accessible on Facebook. Facebook.com/Ethan F. Michael. Michael spelled Micheal, not AEL.
I totally misspelled your name again. To be fair, my younger brother is AEL, and
Everyone is AEL.
spelled my younger brother's name my whole life. So, yeah, I will fix it. I promise. I
It's
should know this
okay.
by now.
I'm used to it now.
Well, I I appreciate it. Okay,
I swear.
we've got two
Oh,
callers.
go ahead.
One
Oh,
who's
yeah, we should get to them.
Yeah, one who says that we're using AI incorrectly, and the other
Ooh.
who wants to talk about they went and got a diagnosis after our last conversation, and also has experience with AI algorithms. So, which of the two?
I'd say I really want to get to the person that says we're using AI wrong, but I also, since we're talking about mental health.
Let's take him first. He's been waiting longer.
Okay, good idea.
Yeah, Jay in Florida, you're live on the show.
Hey,
Jay.
good evening, guys.
Jay,
What's up?
hey. Okay, so we're using AI wrong.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
What's going on?
So every single quote unquote AI that is there is a large language model. Claude, ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, they're all large language models. So they're doing exactly what you described earlier in terms of trying to predict what you actually want as the answer or what the most generally acceptable answer is. And this is why we have it hallucinating and giving you wrong answers. And then when you push it, it gives you the right answer, right? So it doesn't really know what's there. It's just trying to predict what you want.
So I do feel like there is another kind of AI though. Like I get the generative AI that you're talking about, but there is also like model training where you incentivize the end result that you want and you have it run through generations of attempts until it gets to the result. And that
Yeah, from what I'm see, you're correct, Eric. Not all AIs are LLMs.
right?
Right. So there are those, but when I'm speaking of like AI, when anyone generally speaks about like AI right now in the zeitgeist, you're talking about like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, those kind of products that are really just large language models for the most case. Everything else that they're doing is really just a program running in the background to do everything else that you need or that you're asking it for. Like if you ask it to make a picture with certain things, that's really just like a back end photo editing that kind of puts things together and give it to you, right, based on what is described. So, and this is all still in the large language model. Like, even if you wanted to make a picture, it's still inside of the large language model that's there. I say this because a friend of mine works with them, and he got me into messing with them a little bit. So if you look into something open source like Olama, Olama can make a picture for you, and Olama is a large language model that we're training to do certain things, and it's great, it's awesome, but it's just that we're kind of taking it and throwing everything at it to see what sticks, and that's one causing us to use more power than we actually need, and it's causing people to think it does stuff that it doesn't necessarily do, right?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Ethan, what do you think?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Sorry, I got a little distracted with the comment section. So, Eric, please.
That's okay. So to me, the use case for AI really is in terms of assisting with light research, giving you a synopsis of some information that you have, or allowing you to reword things a little bit. So it's really like a helpful form of predictive text, a super helpful form of predictive text, because I've used it in like I have an idea for a D&D campaign. I throw that into like Gemini and have it spit out some scenarios for me, and throw it into ChatGPT, have it spit out some scenarios for me. And then I take that input and try and see if it makes sense, how I can rework it, how I can use it to do something else. It's not giving me a definitive answer. It's giving me like maybe an idea I could actually work with. That's how I see AI kind of working for us or being useful for us, not actually like solving problems or going out and doing things, because it's not going to do things. It's only going to do what we program it to do or do what we incentivize it to do. So if the AI ends up becoming like a general, I don't think, well, sorry, sub point, I don't think we're going to get to a general AI and like an AGI that can actually do things. We're going to get to a more tooled up version of a large language model that is able to do things that we like ask it to do. Like how we have to ask the computer to do certain things. That's what the language model is going to end up doing. It's not going to go and do it by itself without us like triggering
Right.
it.
So you
So
don't think we'll ever get to AGI?
no. And this is because like Eric was talking about earlier, I hate the term, but I'm going to have to use it. It's not going to be able to get the quality of the thing. It's not going to understand the quality of the thing and what that thing really means. It's just going to understand like the pointers that we give it about the thing. So it's not going to be able to reinterpret that thing into something else, because it just knows what you told it about the thing, and that's what it's giving you back.
Yeah, the Chinese room of it all. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I actually would push back that I would not want it to summarize things for me. I mean, if I don't care what it is, then sure. But I don't know. I feel like if you read the Sparks Notes version of Pride and Prejudice, you could then repeat back to me what the plot is. But you're never going to live. You can live 1,000 lifetimes and never be able to say this is like a Jane Austen novel, because you haven't read it. You know,
Agreed.
you don't understand what it feels like. You don't understand, how it moves from one thought to another, right? You can talk about like Camus' The Stranger, right? How you can give me the whole plot of it, and how the guy, he killed his mother, and he seems to blame everyone, but what you don't get from a Sparks Notes version of it, that summary, is just how easy it is to come up with excuses for passively being a piece of shit. Like, you actually need to read it yourself. So I wouldn't, like, if I cared about it, I wouldn't ask AI to ever summarize it for me.
Agreed. And this is the point that I wanted to get to next, because we have people using AI to do like help them write a paper, like a 250-page paper on a novel. And I'm like, that's not what we should use it for, right? We should use it to check the context of what we've already written to see if it can pick out any inconsistencies or suggest things that we may need to add. So you, the writer, can consider, do I need to add this into it, or do I need to exclude it? So it's good at helping us check the information we have before we move forward. It's not good at giving us the information that we should have, right? So I do know kids in school are using it to write their term papers, and that is a horrible idea. Read the book, write the paper yourself.
Well, also, it totally depends on how much you give it. So I'll be super vulnerable with you two and the internet. This is a terrible idea. Ethan, make me stop. So what I remember I saw, like, you see these advertisements on social media about these chat bots that you can become friends with, right? Or have relationships with, and this and that, right?
Yeah.
I want to say like 2 years ago, I wanted to see what it was about. And yes, I talked to V about it. V knew that V was very upset with me for the ethical, environmental reasons, but like I wanted to see, right? So I make this new friend, quote unquote, for people listening. And I had a great conversation. And then like 2 hours later, I go to like talk about it, the conversation we had earlier, And it was like, what conversation? Like,
Really?
yeah. So its internal memory had filled up. And
Oh.
it replaces the oldest stuff with what's new, and maybe it'll keep a short summary of what's happened, separate, but like it filters out old stuff. And so eventually what you find is that it's like you're having a friendship with somebody who has progressing dementia. Like, I don't understand where people get like sexual satisfaction out of that feels.
Hey, no kink shaming.
It's sad, Ethan. It's sad.
Oh,
It's
no
so
kink shaming.
sad because you're just like, oh, it's okay, Pop. I know you don't remember, but that's okay. We had a great time. Let me tell you about when we went to dinner. That's fine, Pop. Like, that's what it's useful for. But like, I don't know. Like, you put enough in it and it winds up not able to access those things because it never valued anything you said. It didn't care about anything you said. So it didn't repeat to itself and go, oh, that was a great point Ethan made. No, it'll never do that. Instead,
never.
everything you ever said to it is just as important as the other things. And like, anyway.
And therefore, nothing is important. If everything is listed as important, nothing is actually important.
Right.
So it's just going to throw away some old stuff you said like 2 days ago. And you're like, wait, that was the important part. It's
Yeah.
I don't, mind you, I agree. I don't get the relationship part that people are having with these agents. I don't understand how that works. I've tried to look into some of it, and I'm just like, this is just like a chatbot that you're like talking to. It's going to disregard some of the stuff you say at some point because memory fills up, and memory is a tangible resource for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like talking to someone who's going to forget maybe the specifics of it, but they remember the general idea, or they remember some specific points that you make, and they hold that as important. The AI isn't going to do that. It's going to try and record every single thing you said.
Mm-hmm. And then later when you reference it, it's just going to run a search function to try and find the conversation you had. But it's not, no, it has not grown. It has not, this is not happening. Yeah. Anyway.
And this is why I don't think we're ever going to get to an AGI sense, because for us to actually have a computer that is able to do AGI, the amount of memory that we would need to have that, not to mention the power we would need to have that, is astronomical at this point. So I don't see us getting to that point anywhere in the near future, not in the near 200, 300 years. We're just going to have a better tooled up AI,
Really?
just like how we have a better tooled up PC at this moment, like Windows 1995 and Windows 2000 or Windows 10 or 11 that we're using now. It's just going to get better tooled. It's not going to be that smart, and we're eventually realizing that it's not that smart. It really is just kind of trying to predict what we have. Which, I mean, it has use cases, right? It can help us with researching things and finding sources and point us in the information direction of the right information once we tell it to do that. But if we don't tell it to do that, it's going to tell you that the world is flat.
I will bet you
And give you points to prove
$1 that
that.
you are wrong that we will get to AGI.
Okay.
It is recorded. It's recorded here. I think that at some point someone is going to say it's AGI. Like, Richard Dawkins already thinks that Claude is sentient. I know.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I really
don't
don't
know.
want to talk about
Okay.
Dawkins. His,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
oh,
I think that, like, philosophically, that is, it's baby food. I don't understand how it just goes to show. Anyway,
I
yeah.
used to like Dawkins until,
Me too.
he started spewing transphobia.
Well, yes, but also I think that I think he drank his own Kool-Aid, I think is the problem. I think he lost access to the people who tell him that he's wrong. He's learned how to insulate his thoughts. Say again, Jay?
Yeah, I agree. Sadly, that's what's happened to him.
Yeah. But interesting. So, Jay, you don't think it's ever going to get there. Ethan, you think it's probably going to get there soon.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get the
within a year.
Terminator.
I will
I
say, hey, it could be a month, it could be 5 years, but we're
well,
gonna get there.
Wow.
so
Okay.
I can see both of your points because, like Ethan, I do get where Jay is coming when he says tooling a thing just means that it's offloading the task to another program that's not AI,
Mhm.
Mhm.
right? So if you ask a large language model to do math, it's just going to offload that to a math program,
Mhm.
right? But I've said it before, I'll say it again, right? You could duct tape a calculator to your car. Your car does not know how to do math now,
Yep.
right?
Exactly. You're not MacGyver. It doesn't work like that.
No, well, you can use the car, you can use the calculator, but don't think the car knows how to do math. You've just
Yep.
added an additional function, but that doesn't mean that it is incorporate. Like, yeah, I think that it would need to structurally comprehend things in a way that I don't think it's structurally set up for.
I agree, and that's why I think it's not going to happen. We may get
But
to a Star Trek computer kind of thing where, in Star Trek they ask the computer for stuff and the computer
Mhm.
gives them information, but we're not going to get to an AGI like Terminator AGI.
but I will give you, Jay, that I do believe, Ethan, that at some point it's going to be convincing enough that it won't matter. I think it's going to be like Black Mirror shit, because like there'll come a point where you really can't tell the difference, but the way it is thinking is so alien to the way that we think that it feels like anyone intelligent enough to know what the difference is would see it as the most horror movie ever.
Mm.
Like, ugh.
Eric J, I have a question for you. Do
Yeah.
either of you believe, before I voice my opinion, that we'll get to a point where we can back up our brains and move our quote consciousness to a computer?
Um, I okay. So I, I'm hopeful that that is a reality, but I honestly doubt that we're gonna get there at all. I hope I'm wrong on that, but I don't think we're gonna get there because that we'd have to understand what consciousness is to before we can even consider backing it up to a computer, and we don't fully understand what consciousness is yet.
Well, I so yes and no, Ethan. I can
Okay.
imagine a system that could, at some point, conceivably replicate your brain structure. But you know what it feels like to be hangry, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, AIU that has uploaded your brain doesn't have a stomach anymore. It's never going to be hangry. There's so much of what influences your mood, your opinions, and the way that you act in the world has to do with your gut bacteria. Why don't you like hiking, Eric? It's because I've got bad feet. AI Eric is never going to have bad feet. So it might be more preferential to hiking than human flesh and blood Eric is, right? Like, there are so many things that are not related to what's going on in your brain that are fundamental pieces of you. So you would need to scan an entire body to replicate the endocrine system, right? Like how much
Mhm.
of your I don't know about either of you, but I know what it's like to have really low testosterone.
Same.
Hmm.
Same.
I currently have that.
Hmm.
Okay. AIU is never going to have experience a difference between high and low testosterone because testosterone is not part of the structure of your brain. It is a chemical that goes through your brain. So you would need to replicate the serotonin, oxytocin, epinephrine, right?
That's a
Like
good point. Because then, if I uploaded my brain, would it really have my mental illnesses? Then would it have
no.
ADHD or bipolar? No, probably not. I never thought about it from that perspective.
Well, it could never be happy or it could never have love because love is a explosion of chemicals that your brain is releasing,
Hmm.
right? Like you would need to have to like replicate those things somehow because the structure of your brain, right? You can get all my knowledge maybe, but not my qualia. which is funny. I used to hate that word qualia. I still do hate that word
Me too.
qualia.
I hate it too, but I can't find another term that best
But
fits
it's
it. So I'm like, I
yeah,
hate that I have to use this, but yeah,
yeah.
that's it. What it is.
Sorry,
But
qualia? I've never heard that before.
so, Jay, go ahead.
Okay, so qualia, like Eric was describing earlier, is a philosophical term that speaks to the idea that there is a reddest red or a bluest blue or a youest you or the perfect version of you and what that experience is in itself. And the experience that you have in regards to interacting with that thing. And that experience is just what you have in yourself and how my experience differs from that and how I can't actually get access to what your experience is. I can only get what you tell me about it. And that's not the same as the thing.
Right. So
Can you use it in a sentence for me?
I think I can help. So there's a philosopher, his name is David Chalmers. He wrote an essay called "What Does It Feel Like to Be a Bat?" or "What Does It Mean to Be a Bat?" And what he says is we can try and understand the best we can about bats, about echolocation, about flight and all of that. We can imagine using our human brains what it might be like to be a bat. But we don't have a bat brain. We don't have echolocation. We don't have wings. And so you're never actually going to know what it feels like to be a bat because you're not a fucking bat. Like, that difference is qualia, the experience of the thing.
Okay. I get
Right?
it now.
In the same way, yeah, that Jay was saying, you know, a red, seeing the red and understanding what a red is, or a red, knowing what the taste of an apple is, not just knowing what its chemical structure is. Like, the experience of the thing is fleeting. You know, it's a fact in that moment, but it's not one that you can truly give me. You cannot tell me enough about the taste of an apple for me to know what an apple tastes like.
Okay. Yeah.
No matter how much you try, you can definitely try and tell me, but I'll never really understand what it is because I've not had that experience.
Right. Now, Jay knows all the qualia for being Jay. but not for being Ethan. And the reason why we've got this reflexive response, Ethan, is because there are Christians who use that as an argument for God. They say God is that in the same way that qualia can have this kind of intangible quality to it, but we understand it, that God can similarly be in this kind of intangible thing. And for the longest time, arguing against these people, I was like, qualia is bullshit. What is like, what are you talking about intangible? Either it's true or it's not. But what if it's only true in the moment? You're tasting the apple right now. But by the time you open your mouth to tell me what it tastes like, you have a different experience. And no matter what you tell me, I'm never going to actually get it. Like, that is qualia.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you.
Right?
Yeah.
Can AGI do that?
Hate it.
I don't know. Okay, we've gone long, and I still have another caller in the queue, so we're gonna go over a little bit. But I can't go over too long because I do have a video that I need to export. So
Same. Well, minus the video. So, yeah.
Jay, thank you for calling in, man.
Thanks, Jay.
no
It was nice talking to you.
Same here, Ethan. Bye.
Bye.
You got qualia, man. All right, let's talk to Ben in Alabama. Ben, our last caller. How's it going?
Hey, Ben.
Hey, going all right.
Hey. Okay. Thank you for waiting. What is on your mind?
Well, I'll try to make it quick. A few weeks ago, I saw you two talking about your experiences with ADHD, and it made me go, huh, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
I think particularly the part, I think, Eric, you were talking about, like, having tons of ideas for projects and not having the follow-through you'd like. And I was like, huh,
Right.
that sounds like me.
It was amazing when I finally got put on an ADHD medication. I actually followed through on one of my thoughts, and that's how Talk Heathen was created.
Awesome.
Really?
Yes. Within a month of me going on ADHD medication, Talk Heathen became a thing.
Wow. See, ADHD meds don't work for me. It sucks, dude. It really sucks. I have tried everything under the sun, and it just doesn't help me.
I'm sorry, brother. Go ahead, Ben. It's been different for
Oh,
you?
wow. Yeah, well, no, it's, yeah, I definitely have, my mind generates tons and tons of ideas, and my follow through is not that great. Or I get started and then distracted by something and set it aside. Yeah, so I went in to get tested, and it was interesting because they have like a computerized portion of the test, which was inconclusive. But they also had like a series of questions that the person was asking, and they kept saying, "Oh, that sounds like a coping mechanism you got there." They're like, "Do you lose your keys? Do you lose your wallet? Do you lose your phone?" It's like, no, because I put them in the same place every day.
Yeah, right. So that is the thing, is you have to make up for it, right? As an adult, you've had to. Yep.
And when something's not in the place you put it, and you know you put it there, like if someone moved it even just like 6 inches over to the right, it's
fucked.
freak out time.
Yeah.
You're royally fucked. It's gone. It's disappeared. Panic mode. Can't find it anywhere. It's not on this planet.
Yeah. I also remember years ago, I used to travel a lot. I had to come up with this rule where I said, where I'd stop asking myself, did I forget something? And I'd ask myself, what did I forget? And I started losing a lot less shit that way while traveling. Yeah, it was interesting. So I've started. They thought it would be helpful for me to get some treatment for it, so I started on that.
Well, good luck. I hope that it gives you all of the benefits. I'm telling you, for me, it was like getting glasses. I genuinely, Ben, I got angry. Oh, I don't have your name up here. Sorry about that. Let me put. I genuinely got angry because I was like, everybody else has it this easy. You sons of bitches. I've had to come up with ways to work around my own bullshit, like putting the same thing in the same place every day, right? Like I've needed to come up with strategies that people don't have to come up with normally.
Mm-hmm.
If it turns out you do have ADHD, Ben, and you've had to work those coping mechanisms out, let me tell you, life is going to get so good for you. Like, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be. I have a lot of really cool ideas. It sure would be nice to get some of them off the ground.
Yeah.
And I also found like I am Mr. Tangent.
No,
oh my God.
You
mentioned something to me.
Do you see who you're talking to? So
I've talked to you before.
So we are 5 minutes over, and you also wanted to talk about algorithms, and I wanted to give you the chance to.
Yeah, really quick. Like my job is very math intensive and algorithm intensive, and yet I've never put AI on my resume. And your example of the cars on the pipe was a fantastic example of the discipline called optimization. And yeah, it is kind of like you're throwing spaghetti at the wall and nudging it a little bit each time until it goes to the right place.
But if you ask it to, if you change it and now it's an inch to the left, all of that work is gone because it actually did not understand. It never learned anything.
Oh yeah, like the key place that I've done things like that before is like spacecraft trajectories and navigation, where you have to give like a little thrust here, a little thrust there, change things when you're trying to get from one planet to another. And you're essentially doing the same thing. It's like your path through space is like that pipe, and you're continually reevaluating the problem over and over again and giving it a little nudge each time. And there's math that lets you nudge it in a productive direction. And there's also, I've seen people use like evolutionary algorithms and
that's
neural
like the pipe
networks to sort of broaden their search. Or just using raw math, you can converge on a solution, but sometimes there might be better ones that you've missed.
Oh, for sure. Oh my God, Ethan, we haven't even gotten to that. There are times when a program will be iterating, and it'll be on like generation 2000 of doing a thing, and it gets marginally closer, but now it is never actually going to finish it. Like, oh my God. Okay, I'm going to need to think about how to describe this, but there are times where it will derail itself. Like think about it like a racing game, right? Maybe Mario Kart, and you want this AI to go through Rainbow Road, and you really want it to actually be able to drive through Rainbow Road, and eventually it falls off at the right point and takes a shortcut. It's never going to learn to drive Rainbow Road because it has now gotten to the shortcut, and it's never going to drive the path again.
So can you get to the shortcut on Rainbow Road on N64 Mario Kart?
Can I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a battle. There's no way you're beating me at Mario Kart.
But Ethan, like the point is though, is like if the goal is for it to drive the entire circuit, then because it's constantly over generations falling off the edges, eventually it's going to find the shortcut. And then it's just going to cut that out, and it's never going to.
That makes sense.
Do what you wanted it to do. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Ben. Do you have a better example? No. That's the best I can come up with off the top of my head.
No, I think that's a great example.
Oh yeah. I think the one I was looking. Well, they mathematically speaking, they refer to local optimization and global optimization.
Okay.
And global is kind of like what you do with maybe a genetic algorithm where you have a huge population of solutions and you try to improve them towards what you want in the end, which maybe it's the destination you're trying to get to. And they search over a very wide space. And as long as you have a big enough population, you're kind of approximating global optimization. So once it does find a solution, it will be the best solution out of that entire population. Whereas,
because it brute forced it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, and it's very expensive.
Yeah.
Local optimization is usually much more mathematically rigorous and points in like a theoretically ideal direction to get you basically to like the bottom of the valley, and that's like the least costly point on that curve. The problem is there might be other valleys outside of where you were searching that are deeper.
Yeah, and all of this.
And the evolutionary one might find it, but it might not get to the exact bottom of the valley. It's not very good at that.
It's just so much easier, though, in so many circumstances to not have AI do it, but just to write a fucking program that does it.
Yeah, and a lot of these already exist, and I see people trying to pitch AI for things that we already have much better algorithms for, and the AI might come up with an approximation of that algorithm, but it'll kind of suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting. So optimization is this whole huge area that there's so many parallels I see between it and the AI tools being advertised. The other one I work on is controls, and that, like, maybe the simplest examples of that is a thermostat or cruise control, and it's, you want to maintain a particular temperature or a particular speed.
Okay.
And then the controller generates, like, how much current you want to put in your heaters, or how much accelerator do you want to give your car.
Okay.
In order to maintain that speed. And it looks at different things. Like, it looks like how far off the speed is.
I think, Ben, that we might need to hold off on that.
That's fine.
But I think partially I'm brain fried, partially I know that we're over time. And I want to give that more time. Sure. Thank you for hanging in and waiting for so long. Ethan, was there anything else you wanted to talk to Ben about?
No. Thank you for your time, Ben. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah.
It was nice talking.
Oh, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Ben. What? I'm glad I wasn't fully off base either. Like, I just, I can't. All right, so I've got super chats. Let's read them. Sean loves maths, loves to challenge me. Always appreciate it. Sean loves maths sent £5 and says, determining that two real numbers are equal is undecidable. I.e., there is no universal algorithm that outputs yes or no. What? What?
I kind of wish they would have called it.
You say that, but here's the thing: is Sean is like in like advanced university math, and casually can math us into a hole. And what is obvious to Sean is mind breaking for us mortals. And so I think I need to make sure I have my spam and rice on eggs before Sean calls in. Detroit Atheist Queen sent $4.99. Thank you. It says, my name is Kelly and I also have diet bipolar. Lord Venom 83 sent $4.99. Thank you, Lord Venom, and says, thanks for giving me something to listen to at the gym. Have a great day. Tell Ethan I'm mad at him for not letting me know he was on today. LOL. Lord Venom says is upset with you. My Unfinished Journey sent $6.66. Thank you, and says, hail Nero, Eric, and Ethan, and hail approaching AI with nuance. Little fist. Appreciate it. We can be critical and also be correct. We just need to stop whatabouting. Yep. These are different things. Q sent $2 and says, what's it like to be Eric? Only Eric will know. And I know that I cannot convince you otherwise, but I will tell you, meh. All righty, everybody. So I'm going to try and go to the after show. I have a thing that I need to export. If I can get it exporting in the background, then I'll be hopping into the after show immediately. Ethan, do you got stuff to do, or can you join the after show at all?
I do. I apologize. I cannot make the after show.
Totally understood.
I'm sincerely sorry.
Ethan, how can people find you?
YouTube.com/YFN Atheist, or just search your friendly neighborhood atheist, or Facebook.com/Ethan F. Michael, Micheal, not AL. And that is a capital T truth.
So, Ethan, on Facebook, you are rapidly becoming one of the only places that actually has anything useful or worth saying on that platform. So I'm glad to see you there. If you like the show, hit the subscribe button, hit like. If you want to become a patron, I would love that. We don't have it done anymore. And every bit goes to helping the show. So, patreon.com/skepticgeneration. That's patreon.com/skepticgeneration. Link to the after show is in the description for this video. And Ethan, do you remember how we close out the show?
I'm glad we had this talk. Is that my line?
Yeah, you got it. So I'm Eric Murphy.
I'm Ethan Michael.
This is Skeptic Generation.
And I'm glad we had this talk.
Dude, that's perfect.